Okay, hopefully you're hearing me here. You're very welcome to the city of Cork. We're coming to live from the Sexton Bar here on Albert Quay. Well worth a visit if you're down in the southern capital anytime soon, where of course Joyce's people came from, but you all knew that. Okay, we'll start off here. Mrs. Breen, gushingly, tremendously teapot, London's teapot, and I'm simply teapot all over me. She rubs sides with him. After the parlour mystery games and the crackers from the tree, we sat on the staircase ottoman under the mistletoe. To his company. Bloom, wearing a purple Napoleon hat with an amber half moon, his fingers and thumb passing slowly down to her soft, moist, meaty palm, which he surrenders gently. The witching hour of night. I took the splinter out of his hand, carefully, slowly, tenderly, as he slipped on her finger a ruby ring. La ci darem da mano. Mrs. Breen, in a one-piece evening frock, executed in moonlight blue, a tinsel sylph's diadem on her brow, with her dance card fallen beside her moon-blue satin slipper, curves her palm softly, breathing quickly. Volio e non. You're hot. You're scalding. The left hand nearest the heart. Bloom. When you made your present choice, they said it was Beauty and the Beast. I can never forgive you for that. His clenched fist at his brow. Think what it means. All you meant to me then. Hoarsely. Woman, it's breaking me. Dennis Breen, white tall-hatted with Wisdom Healy's sandwich board, shuffles past them in carpet slippers, his dull beard thrust out, muttering to left and right. Little Alf Bergen, cloaked in the pall of the ace of spades, dogs him to the left and right, doubled in laughter. Alf Bergen points jeering at the sandwich boards. U.P. Up! Mrs. Breen, to Bloom. High jinks below stairs. She gives him the glad eye. Why didn't you kiss the spot to make it well? You wanted to. Bloom, shocked. Molly's best friend? Could you? Mrs. Breen, her pulpy tongue between her lips, offers a pigeon kiss. The answer is a lemon. Have you a little present for me there? Bloom, offhandedly. Kosher, a snack for supper. The home without potted meat is incomplete. I was at Leah. Mrs. Brandeman Palmer Trenchant, the exponent of Shakespeare, unfortunately threw away the programme. Rattling good place round there for pig's feet. Feel. Richie Goulding, hats pinned on his head, appears weighted to one side by the black legal bag of Collis and Ward, on which a skull and crossbones are painted in white limewash. He opens it and shows it full of polonies, kippered herrings, Findon haddies, and tight-packed pills. Richie, best value in Dub. Bald Pat, bothered beetle, stands on the curbstone, folding his napkin, waiting to wait. Pat advances with a tilted dish of spilling gravy. Steak and kidney, bottle of lager, he, wait till I wait. Richie, good God, I never ate in all. With hanging head, he marches doggedly forward. The navvy, lurching by, gores him with his flaming pronghorn. Richie, with a cry of pain, his hand to his back. Ah, bright lights! Bloom points to the navvy. A spy. Don't attract attention. I hate stupid crowds. I am not on pleasure bent. I am in a grave predicament. Mrs. Breen, humbugging and deluthering as per usual, with your cock and bull story. Bloom, I want to tell you a little secret about how I came to be here, but you must never tell, not even Molly. I have a most particular reason. Mrs. Breen, all agog. Oh, not for worlds. Bloom, let's walk on, shall us? Mrs. Breen, let's. The bawd makes an unheeded sign. Bloom walks on with Mrs. Breen. The terrier follows, whining piteously, wagging his tail. The bawd, Jew man's melt. Bloom, in an oatmeal sporting suit, a sprig of woodbine in the lapel, Tony buff shirt, shepherd's plaid St. Andrew's cross scarf tie, white spats, fawn dustcoat on his arm, tawny red brogues, field glasses in bandolier, and a grey billycock hat. Do you remember, a long time ago, years and years ago, just after Millie, Marionette we called her, was weaned, when we all went together to fairy house races, was it? Mrs. Breen, in smart sacks, tailor-made, white velour hat and spider's veil, Leopardstown. Bloom, I mean Leopardstown. and Molly won 7 shillings on a 3-year-old named Nevertell, and coming home along by Fox Rock in that old 5-seater Shanderadan of a wagonette, you were in your heyday then, and you had on that hat, that new hat of white velour with a surround of mole fur that Mrs. Hayes advised you to buy because it was marked down to 1911, a bit of a wire and an old rag of velveteen, and I'll lay you what you like, she did it on purpose. Mrs. Breen, she did, of course, the cat. Don't tell me. Nice adviser. Bloom, because it didn't suit you 1/4 as well as the other ducky little Tammy Tock with the bird of paradise wing in it that I admired on you, and you honestly looked just too fetching in it, though it was a pity to kill it, you cruel creature, little mite of a thing with a heart the size of a full stop. Mrs. Breen squeezes his arm, simpers. Naughty, cruel I was. Bloom, low, secretly, ever more rapidly. And Molly was eating a sandwich of spiced beef out of Mrs. Joe Gallagher's lunch basket. Frankly, though, she had her advisers, or admirers. I never cared much for her style. She was, Mrs. Breen, too... Bloom, yes, and Molly was hanging, laughing, because Rogers and Maggot O'Reilly were mimicking a cock as we passed the farmhouse, and Marcus Teretius Moses, the tea merchant, drove past us in a gig with his daughter, Dancer Moses was her name, and a poodle in her lap bridled up, and you asked me if I ever heard or read or knew or came across... Mrs. Breen eagerly, yes, 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 yes. She fades from his side. Followed by the whining dog, he walks on towards Hell's Gates. In an archway, a standing woman, bent forward, her feet apart, pisses cowling. Outside a shuttered pub, a bunch of loiterers listen to a tale which their broken-snouted gaffer rasps out with raucous humour. An armless pair of them flop, wrestling, growling, in maimed, sodden play-fight. The gaffer crouches, his voice twisted in his snout. And when Cairns came down from the scaffolding in Beaver Street, what was he after doing into it? Only a bucket of porter that was there waiting on the shavings for Derwan's plasterers. The loiterers guffaw with cleft palates. Oh, jeez! Their paint-speckled hats wag, spattered with size and lime of their lodges. They frisk limblessly about them. Coincidence too, Bloom. Coincidence too. They think it funny. Anything but that. Broad daylight, trying to walk. Lucky no woman. The loiterers. Jays, that's a good one. Glauber's salt. Ah, jays, into the men's porter. Bloom passes. Cheap whores, singing, couple, shawl, dishevelled, call from lanes, doors, corners. The whores. Are you going far, queer fella? How's your middle leg? Got a match on you? Hey, come here till I stiffen it for you. He plodges through their sump towards the lighted street beyond. From a bulge of window curtains a gramophone rears a battered brazen trunk. In the shadow a shebeen keeper haggles with the navvy and the 2 redcoats.
The navvy, belching. Where's the bloody house? The shebeen keeper. Purden Street, shilling a bottle of stout. Respectable woman. The navvy, gripping the 2 redcoats, staggers forward with them. Come on, you British Army. Private car, behind his back. He ain't half balmy. Private Compton. What ho? Private car, to the navvy. Portobello Barracks Canteen. You asked for car. Just car. The navvy shouts. We are the boys of Wexford. Private Compton. Say, what price the Sergeant Major? Private car. Bennett. He's my pal. I love old Bennett. The navvy shouts. The Galing chain. And free the native land. He staggers forward, dragging with them. Bloom stops at fault. The dog approaches, his tongue out, lolloping, panting. Bloom. Wild goose chase this. Disorderly houses. Lord knows where they've gone. Drunks cover distance double quick. Nice mix-up seen in Westland Row. Then jump first class with 3rd ticket. Then too far. Train with engines behind. Magat taken me maldehyde. Or signing for the night of collision. Second drink does it. Once is a dose. What am I following him for? Still he's the best of the lot. If I hadn't heard of Mrs. Beaufoy Purefoy, I wouldn't have gone. I wouldn't have met Kismet. He'll lose that cash, relieving off his way out. Good biz for Cheap Jack's organ. What do you lack? Soon get, soon gone. Might have lost my life too with man going wheel, track, trolley, glare, juggernaut. Only presence of mind. Can't always save you. Though if I had passed Truelock's window that day 2 minutes later, that would have been a shot. Absence of body. Still a bullet only went through my coat. Got damages for shock. £500. What was he? Kildare Street Club Toff. God help the gamekeeper. He gazes ahead, reading on the wall a scroll, chalk, legend, wet dream of phallic design. Odd, Molly drawing on a frosted canapé at Kingstown. What was that like? Gaudy doll woman, loll in the lighted doorways in window, and Bruce's smoke bird's eye cigarettes. The odour of their stick seaweed floats towards him. The slow ran over in wreaths. The wreaths. Sweet are the sweets of sin. Bloom. My spine's a bit limp. Go or turn, and this food, eat it and get all pig sticky. Absurd am I. Waste of money. 1 and 8p, too much. The retriever drives a cold snivelling muzzle against his hand, wagging his tail. Stranger they take to me, even that brute today. Better speak of him first. Like woman they are raconteurs. Stinks like a polecat. Chaconteur. That he might be mad. Fido, uncertain of his movements. Good fellow, Gary Owen. The wolf dog sprawls on the back, wriggling obscenely with his begging paws, his long back tongue lolling out, influence his surroundings. Give and have done with it. Provided nobody, calling encouraging words, he shambles back with his furtive poacher's tread, dogged by the setter, into the dark stalwart corner. He unrolls one parcel and goes to dump the crabine softly and holds back the feels the trotter. Sizable for 3p, but I have only it in one hand, calls for more effort. Why? Smaller, for want of use. Oh, let it slide 2 and 6. With regrets he lets unroll crabine and trotter slide. The mastiff maws the bundle clumsily and gluts himself with growling greed, crunching the bones. 2 rat-cats watch, approach silent, vigilant. They murmur together. The watch. Bloom of Bloom for Bloom. Each lays a hand on Bloom's shoulder. First watch. Caught in the act. Commit no nuance. Bloom stammers. I'm doing good to others. A covey of gulls storm petrels rises hungrily from leafy slime with Banbury cakes in their beaks. The gulls, Corke, Kuka, Keke. Bloom, the friends of a friend, train of by kindness. He points to Bob Durham, toppling for the high bar stool, sways over the munching spaniel. Bob Durham, Towser, give us your paw, give us your paw. The bulldog growls, his scruff standing, a goblet of pig's knuckle between his molars, through which rabid scum-spittle dribbles. Bob Durham falls silent in the area. Second watch, preventing of cruelty to animals. Bloom, enthusiastically, a noble work. I scolded the tram driver at Harold's Cross Bridge for ill-using the poor horse with his harness. Scab, bad French I got for my pains. Of course it was frosty, the last tram. All tales of circus life are hardly demoralising. Signor Maffey, passion's tail in line tamer's costume, with diamond studs at his shirt front, steps forward, holding a circus paper hoop, a curling carriage whip, and a revolver, which he covers with gorging boar hound. Signor Maffey, with a sinister smile. Ladies and gentlemen, my educated greyhound. I was broke the booking broncho, Ajax with my patient, spiked saddle with carnivores, lash under the belly with knotted thong, block tackle and strangling pulley will bring your line to heel, no matter how fractious. Even Lefroux with their Libyan man-eater, a red-hot crowbar and some liniment rubbing on the burning part produce Fritz of Amsterdam. The thinking hyena, he glares, possesses the Indian sign. The glint of my eye does it. With these breast sparklers, with bewitching smile, I now introduce to you Madame Ruby, the pride of the ring. First watch. Come, name and address. Bloom. I have forgotten for the moment. Ah, yes. He takes a high-grade badge, saluting. Dr. Bloom Leopold, dental surgeon. You've heard of one von Bloom Pasha, up to million, Donwetter, Owens, half of Austria, Egypt, cousin. First watch. Proof. A card falls on the inside of the leather headband of Bloom's hat. Bloom, in a red fez, card his dress coat with broad green sash, wearing a false badge of the Legion of Honour, picks up the card hastily and offers it. Allow me, my club, the Junior Army and Navy Solicitors, Messrs. John Henry Menton, 27 Bachelor's Walk. First watch reads, Henry Flower, of no fixed abode, unlawfully watching and besetting. Second watch, an alibi, you are cautioned. Bloom produces from his heart pocket a crumpled yellow flower. This is the flower in question. It's given me by a man. I don't know his name. Plausibly. You know that old joke, Rose of Castle Bloom? The change of name, Virac, he murmurs privately and confidentially. We are engaged to see Sergeant Lady in this case. Love entanglement. He shoulders a second watch gently. Dash it all. It's the way we gallants have in the Navy. Uniforms that does it. He turns gravely to the first watch. Still, of course, you do get your Waterloo sometimes. Drop in some evening and have a glass of Burgundy. To the second watch gang. I'll introduce you, Inspector. She's game. Do anything at a shake of a lamb's tail. A dark, mercurialized face appears, leading to a veiled figure.
The Dark Mercury. The castle is looking for him. He was drummed out of the army. Martha, thick-veiled, a crimson halter round her neck, a copy of the Irish Times in her hand, in tone of reproach, pointing. Henry, Leopold, Lionel, thou lost one, clear my name. First watch, sternly. Come to the station. Bloom, scared, hats himself, steps back then, plucking at his heart and lifting his right forearm on the square. He gives the sign and due guard of fellowcraft. No, no, worshipful master, light of love, mistaken identity, the lion's male, Les Urques and Dubosc. You remember the child's fratricide case, we medical men. By striking him dead with a hatchet, I am wrongfully accused. Better one guilty escape than 99 wrongfully condemned. Martha, sobbing behind her veil. Breach of promise. My real name's Peggy Griffin. He wrote to me that he was miserable. I'll tell my brother the Becktive rugger full back on you, you heartless flirt. Bloom, behind his hand. She's drunk. The woman is inebriated. He murmurs vaguely the passive Ephraim. Shit, bro, Leith. Second watch. Tears in his eyes to Bloom. You ought to be thoroughly well ashamed of yourself. Bloom. Gentlemen of the jury, let me explain. A pure mare's nest. I am a man misunderstood. I am being made a scapegoat of. I am a respectable married man without a stain on my character. I live in Eccles Street. My wife. I am the daughter of a most distinguished commander, a gallant, upstanding gentleman. What do you call him? Major General Brian Tweedy, one of Britain's fighting men who helped to win our battles. Got his majority for the heroic defence of Rorke's Drift. First watch. Regiment. Bloom turns to the gallery. The Royal Dublin's, boys, the salt of the earth, known the world over. I think I see some old comrades in arms up there among you, the RDF, with our own Metropolitan Police, guardians of our homes, the pluckiest lads and the finest body of men, as physique, in the service of our sovereign. A voice. Turncoat, up the boards, who booed Joe Chamberlain? Bloom, his hand on the shoulder of the first watch. My old dad too was a JP. I'm as staunch a Britisher as you are, sir. I fought with the colours for king and country in the absent-minded war under General Gough in the park and was disabled at Spion Cop, and Blumfontein was mentioned in dispatches. I did all a white man could, with quiet feeling. Jim Bloodshaw, hold her nozzle gun against the bank. First watch. Profession or trade? Bloom. Well, I follow a literary occupation. Author, journalist. In fact, we are just bringing out a collection of prize stories of which I am the inventor. Something that is an entirely new departure. I am connected with the British and Irish press. If you ring up... Miles Crawford strides out jerkily, a quill between his teeth. His scarlet beak blazes within the aureole of his straw hat. He dangles a bank of Spanish onions in one hand and holds with the other hand a telephone receiver nozzle to his ear. Miles Crawford, his cock's wattles wagging. Hello, 877, 84, hello? Freeman's urinal and weekly arsewiper here. Paralyze Europe, you which? Blue bags? Who writes? Is it Bloom? Mr. Philip Beaufoy, pale-faced, stands in the witness box in accurate morning dress, out-breast pocket with peak of handkerchief showing, creased lavender trousers and patent boots. He carries a large portfolio labelled Matcham's Masterstrokes. Beaufoy drawls. No, you aren't. Not by a long shot, if I know it. I don't see it, that's all. No born gentleman, no one with the most rudimentary promptings of a gentleman would stoop to such particularly loathsome conduct. One of those, my lord, a plagiarist, a soapy sneak masquerading as a litterateur. It's perfectly obvious that with the most inherent baseness he has cribbed some of my best-selling books. Really gorgeous stuff, a perfect gem, the love passages in which are beneath suspicion, the Beaufoy books of love and great possessions with which your lordship is doubtless familiar are a household word throughout the kingdom. Bloom murmurs with hangdog meekness. That bit about the laughing witch hand in hand I take exception to, if I may. Beaufoy, his lip uncurled, smiles superciliously on the court. You funny ass, you. You're too beastly awfully weird for words. I don't think you need over-excessively disincommodate yourself in that regard. My literary agent, Mr. J.B. Pinker, is in attendance. I presume, my lord, we shall receive the usual witnesses' fees, shan't we? We're considerably out of pocket over this bally pressman Johnny, this jackdaw of Rems who has not even been to a university. Bloom, indistinctly. University of Life? Bad art? Beaufoy shouts. It's a damnably foul lie, showing the moral rottenness of the man. He extends his portfolio. We have here damning evidence, the corpus delicti, my lord, a specimen of my maturer work, disfigured by the hallmark of the beast. A voice from the gallery. Moses, Moses, king of the Jews, wiped his arse in the Daily News. Bloom, bravely, overdrawn. Beaufoy. You low cad. You ought to be ducked in the horse pond, you rotter. To the court. Why, look at the man's private life. Leading a quadruple existence, street angel and house devil, not fit to be mentioned in mixed society, the arch conspirator of the age. Bloom, to the court. And he a bachelor, how? First watch. The king versus Bloom. Call the woman Driscoll. The crier. Mary Driscoll, scullery maid. Mary Driscoll, a slipshod servant girl, approaches. She has a bucket on the crook of her arm and a scouring brush in her hand. Second watch. Another. Are you of the unfortunate class?
Mary Driscoll, indignantly. I'm not a bad one. I bear a respectable character and was 4 months in my last place. I was in a situation, £6 a year and me chances with Fridays out, and had to leave owing to his carryings on. First watch. What do you tax him with? Mary Driscoll. He made a certain suggestion, but I thought more of myself as poor as I am. Bloom, in house jacket of rippled cloth flannel trousers, heelless slippers, unshaven, his hair rumpled softly. I treated you white. I gave you mementos, smart emerald garters far above your station. Incautiously, I took your part when you were accused of pilfering. There's a medium in all things. Play cricket. Mary Driscoll, excitedly. As God is looking down on me this night, if ever I laid a hand to them oysters. First watch. The offence complained of, did something happen? Mary Driscoll. He surprised me in the rear of the premises, Your Honour, when the missus was out shopping one morning with a request for a safety pin. He held me and I was discoloured in 4 places as a result, and he had to fair twick with me clothing. Bloom. She counter-assaulted. Mary Driscoll, scornfully. I had more respect for the scouring brush, so I had. I remonstrated with him, your lord, and he remarked, keep it quiet. General laughter. George Fottrell, Clerk of the Crown and Peace, resonantly. Order in court. The accused will now make a bogus statement. Bloom, pleading not guilty and holding a full-blown water lily, begins a long, unintelligible speech. They would hear what counsel had to say in his stirring address to the grand jury. He was down and out, but, though branded as a black sheep, if he might say so, he meant to reform, to retrieve the memory of the past in a purely sisterly way and return to nature as a purely domestic animal. A 7-month child, he had been carefully brought up and nurtured by an aged, bedridden parent. There might have been lapses of an erring father, but he wanted to turn over a new leaf, and now, when at last in sight of the whipping post, to lead a homely life in the evening of his days, permeated by the affectionate surroundings of the heaving bosom of the family. An acclimatised Britisher, he had seen that summer eve from the footplate of an engine cab of the Loop Line Railway Company, while the rain refrained from falling glimpses, as it were, through the windows of love